So it's about 5:30, and I'm just stirring from an unexpected crash around 10. It was that one where you're awake 1 second and then you're just out the next. I think I'm dealing with a little bit of a little bit of coffee overload. I didn't come to a conclusion with the last track. Um, Other than that the interference on a track basis seems to be variable. um, which suggests to me that a lot of the interference is coming from the phones themselves. That particular track has a lot of noise in the drum machine work, so for some reason that noise seems to be building on itself or something. Um, that's what I'm thinking, anyways. And the tracks that have the most amount of natural noise seem to be the hardest to shield, which again suggests to me that whatever is floating through the air, the issue is the phones rather than the source. So um, I'm I do know that I can get it to sound right. It wasn't quite cooperating this morning. Um, I'm not ready to abort um, on the basis of that one track. Um, Although if I see the issue develop with repeated tracks, um, I will be. Um, for right now, I'm just gonna jump right to it. I'm gonna skip eating for now and just get right to work. It's almost 11, and I'm coming to a conclusion with track 2. Um, it turns out that something that's helping quite a bit is, um, well, first of all, allowing the headphones to run inside of these towels, and second of all, having those towels over my head. Um, that would suggest that the primary issue is actually not from the phones, but from something outside that is interfering with them. You would think that if it was from the phones, then putting the towels over my head would just make the issue worse. I've tried insulating the speaker wire with old holey socks. I happen to have a large pile of socks that have holes in them, so I tried that. It had almost no effect. Whether it's the wire or not, there does seem to be a lot of noise in this space at the moment. Um, I don't have any other ideas besides trying to swap the wire up. But like I say, for right now, this is what I'm doing. Is I'm sitting in a chair with towels over my head, trying to block the signal out. I suppose it's not quite a tinfoil hat, but it's about what I got here. No conclusions yet on this track, but I need to stop to get something to eat. It really is remarkable. When I find the blanket helps as well around my legs, but when I'm underneath underneath the towels, I can hear differences in tone just by swinging around, indicating that it's like something getting underneath it, or just the intensity of it. This room is really getting nailed with something. Um, I don't know. I think it might be within the realm of. See, I spent a lot of time on the internet rambling about things. I don't know. I think it's within the realm of possibility that I might be getting monitored. You'd think that they'd have more modern forms of monitoring people than nailing them with some kind of radio frequencies. There's some vans outside. There's been a moving truck sitting outside for 2 weeks. It's moving trucks don't sit outside your house for 2 weeks. And I noticed some other vans kind of come back and forth. So something I've noticed for years, actually. I think that I might have thrown them off a little when I moved down here, but it sounds crazy, I know. This will come up eventually. It's like, you know what? I don't even care if you're monitoring me. I'm listening to a song. Um, monitor monitor me all you want. You're not gonna find anything. I don't have a friend in the world. Like I'm just really honestly a loner on disability in a basement writing music. Um, I would be more inclined to argue that this is a waste of resources. There's actually people out there that are of some threat to somebody, even of some threat to the state, of which, if I am a threat to the state, then you're certainly not going to learn anything about me by monitoring me in a van across the street. You can learn everything you need to just by reading what I write on the internet. I'm not hiding anything. If I'm a threat to the state, it's fairly open and fairly obvious from it. For anybody, all you have to do is go to my Facebook page or something. Like it's not you're not gaining anything by or to put it another way, espionage is only valuable when there's something being hidden. I'm not hiding anything. Like I'm very open about my politics. They may be subversive from certain perspectives, but I'm not hiding anything. I'm not trying to fool anybody. I'm very open and very clear about it, and I'm also very open and very clear about the fact that my political views are useless unless they're attached to a large change in the status quo. Meaning that I'm well aware of the fact that I can't change anything that I want changed through, clandestine operations or through mounting, militant operations and that is useless to me from the perspective of what I need and what I want. For me, it's like I need social revolution or bust. I'm not getting anywhere by fighting the state. That's not, and if you think that, then you don't understand my politics. My politics are very clear. I've made them very clear, and I cannot get anywhere unless I win a battle for hearts and minds, quote unquote. For me, if I'm a threat to anybody, it's in my rhetorical abilities. It's in my ability to convince people that I'm right. And that's the only threat that I cause to anybody, and that's the only path that I have to getting anywhere. I'm not getting anywhere by starting a war or by carrying out property damage. I mean, like the climate change thing, for example. I'm on the side of people that would block a pipeline. I would oppose blowing a pipeline up because that would be counter effective. That would act against the goals of preventing oil spills. But blocking it, blockading, all those sorts of things. I'm on their side. I would never do it. And ultimately, if they succeed, let me rephrase that. If they manage to fail, that doesn't really have a large effect on my political perspectives or the application of them. Climate change doesn't have anything to do with anarchism. It really doesn't. Whether we have climate change or not, that doesn't have any effect on whether we have anarchism or not. And even if we see, sustained warming of 5-10 degrees, that doesn't change anything from my political perspective. and it's not my issue. Um, like I say, I'm on their side in a ideological sense. I hope they succeed, but it's not what I want to spend my life doing. What I want to spend my life doing is art and convincing people that there's a better way than going to work every day. Um, so I mean, it's not. I have nothing to do with any of these groups. I don't want anything to do with any. Like it's not. You can't. I can't get anywhere through them. And their goals are not my goals. Um, I've been clear on what my goals are again. But I mean, the point is just that you can't. You're not going to learn anything about me that you wouldn't learn by reading my posts on YouTube or whatever else. But I don't have any contacts. I don't do anything. So if you see, and here's the amazing, ironic thing. I actually don't think that they are watching these videos or reading a lot of what I write. And I actually honestly think that some 15-year-old kid that's actually following me probably has a better understanding of me than the Secret Service does, because the Secret Service is really that incompetent that they can't figure out to watch the vlog. On top of that, the other thing is that I'm certainly creating electrical signals through all of these devices. In the back of my mind, I think maybe somebody might think I'm trying to transmit something, or might be getting information from somewhere. I've been accused of a lot of things in my life. I've been accused of being a liberal. I've been accused of being a communist. I haven't been accused of being a Russian, but I could see how maybe they might think that. Or that maybe they might have very strange perceptions of how the quote unquote resistance operates. Point being, I think I might be dealing with a lot of very stupid people, and those very stupid people may very well be doing stupid things that will get them nowhere, but are frustrating me. The other thing that has crossed my mind is that, if you were going to torture me, this would be the way to do it. And it's almost like it's right out of 1984 or something. What's the way to torture me into submitting to something would be to make it so that my hearing is unclear, and so I'm walking around, I'm never sure what I'm hearing, and never, I mean, that would be actually hilarious. That would be my reaction to that. I mean, really, I've got nothing better to do. Do you really think I'm that scary? And do you really think it'll work? I think the idea of that working is the part that really is the least believable part of it. I could believe that somebody might have nothing better to do, or at least the paycheck might make it worth their time. But I couldn't believe how anyone would really think that would work. I mean, what is the outcome? What is the intended outcome? To have me not listen to music anymore? Because I'm going to try a lot of things before I get to that point. Let me tell you. I think that that's a project that's going to take a long time to come to fruition. You'd be better off just kidnapping me and cutting my ears up than trying to convince me not to listen to music by bombarding me with radio waves. But whatever this is, whether it's some kind of twisted experiment, if it's some kind of, if I'm getting bombarded with I'm getting jammed, or if it's just an unintended consequence of surveillance. I don't have a lot of Um, like I say, the towels make it pretty clear. I'm getting a lot of noise, and it doesn't seem to be coming from these devices. It really seems to be coming um, from elsewhere. Something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus on trying to find a way to fix this for the next few days, as I mentioned, and then get out of this purgatory. But I have enough evidence, I think, now to maybe ask some of the neighbors. Like, what the hell are you doing? Did you have a CB radio upstairs or something? Who knows? Maybe the guy that moved upstairs has got a CB radio he's running all night. Who knows? But I mean, it's got to be something like that. There is a serious source of very powerful interference happening somewhere around here. And I will eventually need to figure out what the hell it is. But I'm stopping now to get something to eat. That's the reason I stopped. And I'll be back at it in, I don't know, an hour or something. I'm just heating up some eggs there, but I'm a little later than I wanted it to be. I just remembered that I had to upload the vlog. I just want to make a comment about that. I'm doing this weekly. It will be nightly, but staggered by a week. I'm doing it that way just to put a buffer between what I'm doing and real time. Two reasons for that. Number one is just I don't really think you need to know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And the second is just to ensure that there's a regular upload schedule. If I'm end up getting behind a day or two, I can catch up a few days later or whatever. If I have a week, then there's not really any chance of that. But so I had to get that up, and then I'll turn my internet back off afterwards, kind of thing. I'm also going to I'm just finishing up the last little bit of eggs I had left, and then I'll make myself. I think I'll have salami today. I could make salami or tomato sandwiches. I'm back into my sort of regular schedule here, but I'm going to go with the salami for today, and I'll get to that. So the way I do this is that on Thursdays and Sundays, I'll have eggs, and then on the other days I'll alternate between salami sandwiches and tomato sandwiches. I went with salami today, which means I'll have tomatoes tomorrow. And this is really fairly simple. There is a bagel underneath here. I cut the bagel in half. It's a sesame seed bagel. There's salami, there's cheese, and then that goes in the microwave for a minute and a half. That's it. A lot easier than the meals I've been making, isn't it? This may actually look like a smaller meal than the meals I've been having recently. I think that if you were to actually analyze it like scientifically, it would be clear that it really isn't. The bagel and the spaghetti is going to roughly balance out. The cheese is about the same. The salami, there's more salami here than I would normally have, but I'm going to be replacing the Caesar with mustard, which is much lower fat, so that balances out. The only real difference is that the spaghetti would have some green peppers and tomatoes in it. That's really the extent of the difference. I know that it might seem a little bit strange to you, but if you actually were to sit down and analyze it, this may actually be higher fat than the spaghetti that I was eating. So in the end, as I've tried to point out before, in the end, it's really just about total calories. That's the issue that's of importance, and it doesn't really matter how you get it. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is essentially equivalent to my spaghetti that I was having before. It's just it's got less. Well, I mean, I'll be doing my tomatoes starting tomorrow daily, or every couple of days. Sorry. So I mean, the really net takeaway is I'm going to get a little bit less vitamin C from the green peppers, but I think I was getting enough vitamin C anyways. So the way that I do this is I pop it out like that, and um, as soon as it comes out, I normally wouldn't be talking to you. I actually forgot to do it. You gotta put the mustard on it right away. Uh, okay. Um, and it's got to be fairly heaping. Now, the idea there is that the mustard reacts with the fat and sort of congeals a little bit. It's that congeal that you're looking for. Again, I have the lowest cholesterol that the doctor has ever seen, so um, that's all I'm eating today. That's why. That's my meal for today. I will have another meal in 20 to 30 hours from now. So I make sure it's nice and high fat, but I don't eat often. And I'm going to go eat it now. Okay, so it's about 4, and I'm about to get back into this. I decided it's a good idea to let the headphones sit underneath the towels for a little bit without anything playing through them, so that when they come back up, they're kind of fresh. I don't know, it's just a thought. I'll find out if it works or not. But so I've been letting it sit for a bit. I just want to have a brief little talk about my transness, because I was thinking about that. I was brushing my teeth here, and it might not be the most obvious thing. There was a bit of a rant at the beginning of my Google page, if you scroll down to the very first post about this. And it's a bit of the purpose of this is to present a perspective, or at least one of the purposes of this is just to present the perspective of a trans person that exists in the wild. What does that mean? Well, we have stereotypes about trans people. We have stereotypes about all kinds of people, right? And one of the stereotypes about trans people comes from something that really isn't considered transgendered by most professionals, but transvestited, which means you're talking about, or thinking about, or imagining people that are essentially gay men. Sometimes they're straight men, but usually gay men that like to wear girly clothing and dance around, often in public. It's the drag queen thing. Sometimes it's a public thing. Sometimes that's a very private thing. But I mean, it's essentially a fetishism with clothes, or a fetishism with an exaggerated concept of femininity. And that is the prism which most of the society interprets being transgender through. And that is associated with one of two types of accepted trans people, and it's the type that starts transition as a gay male, after having lived as a gay male for however long, usually, associates primarily with gay men through their transition, and then when they come out, even generally, largely associates with queer people. It's the queer lifestyle trans person. They're the ones that the society understands, partly because they're the loudest, but partly because, I mean, they're the other. right? I mean, they're the ones that live the alternative lifestyle, but the ones that have lots of sex in those unusual circumstances. Um, that's what people kind of want to conceive of a trans person as. The other trans person, and in fact, statistically, we're more prevalent, there's more of us, is more or less the tomboy trans, which might sound like a contradiction, um, but kind of isn't. The tomboy is okay. So let's understand the tomboy in the concept of a cis female. What is a tomboy? Well, a tomboy is a girl that grows up um, within some kind of vaguely male concept of gender, prefers to do boy things, um, spends a lot of time, more or less, with boys. And generally, the tomboy develops more feminine characteristics as their body changes, as they go through puberty. That's when the tomboy becomes the woman. And what you find with a lot of trans people, in the second category, which I'm in, clearly, is that they exist in that kind of middle point until their body starts to change. And it's when their body starts to change and they become more normalized to it that their other characteristics begin to align more with stereotypical concepts of femininity. We tend to be confused in that way. People think, well, geez, if you're going to change your gender, why would they? What would the point be unless you're exaggerated? But I mean, it's more of a it's more of a of just a. See, I probably should have prepared some kind of a script here because this is a notoriously difficult thing to articulate. But it's more of identifying with a kind of personality type. And the tomboy, while they may have certain masculine traits, is still a girl. And everybody knows that a tomboy is a girl. There's obviously differences between a tomboy and a trans woman. The tomboy is maybe trying to prove herself in certain kind of ways that she's as good as the boys, whereas the trans woman is maybe trying to escape from that. But when you gloss these differences aside, you get basically the same idea, which is someone that is broadly feminine, but has male aspects. And the social part of it that people find hard to deal with is they don't understand why you can't be a dude with female aspects. Why do you have to be a female with male aspects? And the answer is just because they're two different things. And it's as clear as day that they're two different things. All you have to do is hang out with a tom girl for an hour, and you'll see that. A tomboy for an hour, and you'll see that, right? So, that's the thing. I didn't get my estrogen boost, and I've been smoking the whole time. I was thinking about this because I'm preparing to have that estrogen boost, and I was just thinking to myself, is this going to modify, how I present myself? Is that, are those changes along with different levels of confidence going to make a difference, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know. We'll find out. I like to think that I spend most of my time in my basement with myself, and I don't particularly care so much. But maybe when I go out a little bit more, if I see some larger physical changes, I'll adjust to that. I don't know. We'll find out. It's 10 a.m. And even with the strongest levels of blocking that I can come up with, the interference is just not stopping. So I feel I have no choice right now but to try and play, mess around with the electrical circuits. See, I haven't had any fading in some time, and that's kind of good, but the fading has been replaced by the interference. So it's kind of one problem for the other. So I basically put it back to the way it was, and I'm going to test it to see two things. Number one, do I get fading? And number two, do I get interference? If this setup produces fading but no interference, well, on the other hand, if it produces fading and interference, see what I think is, I think the fading was that this wasn't grounded. I think that's why it was fading, and I think the interference was the power bar that I switched. So I put the old power bar back. I put the old power bar back, and I rebalanced that, so it was off the other one again. Which means that at this point I'm expecting, let me turn this on. I'm expecting fading and no interference. If that comes up, then I'll swap that back over to there again, and see what it is. But if I get interference there, then I feel that I'm almost left with a choice, which is bad. But I mean, I don't remember getting interference like this. I remember getting the fading, but the interference is just off the wall. So I'm left to conclude that that was. See, I kept feeling like it was coming from outside the unit because there was nothing I could do to stop it. But I don't think I was getting that before. So I have to test this, and we'll see what comes up. Okay, so it's noon, and I'm not going to be up much longer, I don't think. We'll see if I get a second wind here, get that nice bit of manic energy. Because swapping the power cord out seems to have removed the interference. With the caveat that I also moved the power cord for the computer to the middle cord and off of the third cord. And I've turned the receiver off altogether. That combination sounds good. There's no interference, there's no fading. This is a good sound. So this is goodness. I'm going to try to listen to it all the way through one more time. As you might guess, I've abandoned my plan for the short term, but if this works, I will be falling right back into it with the track by track. Although I may be able to skip ahead a bunch of tracks. This sounds right. That said, there is a slightly complicating factor here, which is that I noticed when I went outside for a cigarette that the guy upstairs was sitting outside, meaning that there's a possibility that he turned something off. That's what I'm going to want to check. If this is running well for the next hour or so, I don't think I'm going to last more than a couple hours. Hopefully that's enough time to get a good understanding of whether or not the First 10 or so tracks sound good. To at least put my mind at ease. It won't be enough for me to finalize the tracks. I'll need to go over that one by one. But at the very least, as I say, and I actually checked with the towels. I wasn't getting any interference. It sounds the same with the towels on my head as it does with the towels off my head. So this is seemingly good, but that's something that I'll find out when I wake up. I'm going to be up for a bit longer, but I'm going to close the vlog off. What I want to do when I wake up is I want to first and foremost, to make sure that this is still stable the way it is. If it is, then I'm going to need to figure out how to ground the receiver. So how did I get in this mess? I do remember at some point in the past, I don't remember when, but at some point in the past, I decided that it would be a better idea if I had the computer and receiver off on that side to avoid crossing anything around. I don't remember when that happened, how long ago it was, but that could be what created this mess. But I also want to point out that as I was swapping the cords out, I made an effort to make sure that nothing was crossing. I straightened a few things out, and I may have just fixed it through that. But like I say, that's something I'm going to find out. At least at this point, I think that I can be fairly certain that if this is stable for the next hour or so, and it's not when I wake up, then I'm going to have to take a walk upstairs and talk to the guy. But right now, I'm thinking that the combination of putting the old cord back in, the old cord removed the interference, and grounding the computer through the middle cord eliminated the fading. That suggests that there might be something wrong with that cord on the far side here, because it is the same circuit. It shouldn't matter how I'm grounding it. So that would suggest to me that maybe that power cord is damaged, or maybe it's not pulling right or something. But I've been through this so many times that I don't want to get too excited. But right now it sounds very good. I'm gonna, like I said, listen to it one more time, and presuming that that's the case, I think that I'm good to get some sleep, wake up, and hopefully get some work done tomorrow. But I'm closing the vlog out, so later.